All right, welcome back. Today we're diving headfirst into something that sounds incredibly dry but is actually shaping up to be pure legislative drama, the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act of 2025, or as the cool kids call it, the Clarity Act.
Sounds like something you'd get from a really intense eye exam, right? Sir, you have achieved clarity. But no, this is about crypto. And it passed the House in July 2025, which, let's be honest, is practically warp speed for Congress.
It is, and it's aiming to finally sort out this digital Wild West. No more regulation by enforcement with the SEC just suing everyone. This bill amends old favorites like the Securities Act of 1933 and the Commodity Exchange Act, giving distinct roles to the SEC and CFTC.
So the SEC gets the fancy digital securities, and the CFTC gets the more rugged digital commodities, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's like separating the fine wines from the craft beers, but they both get drunk in the end. And bonus, it also folded in the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, because apparently the Federal Reserve becoming your digital landlord is a bridge too far.
A bridge too far, indeed. We're talking no Fed-issued CBDCs, direct or indirect. It's a very specific nope to government-controlled digital cash, citing surveillance risks. The Senate's got its own version now, due for markup January 15, 2026, focusing on investor protection and taming illicit finance. Optimism is high for passage, apparently boosted by a pro-crypto administration. Who knew politicians could be pro-innovation?
A rare alignment of the stars, or maybe just a lot of very persuasive lobbying. Now, this bill gets granular. Digital asset is any digital value on a blockchain. Digital commodity is the decentralized stuff, value from functionality, not from, say, someone promising you a Lambo if you buy their coin.
Right, and here's the kicker. Mature blockchain system. It's not just a fancy name. It means a network that's actually decentralized, where no single entity controls more than 20%. So, early-stage tokens, investment contract assets, can start as securities and graduate to commodities if they get their act together and decentralize. It's like a crypto college degree.
Very exclusive. It also defines qualified digital asset custodians, basically banks and trusts who can hold your digital gold without messing it up. And blessedly, it exempts non-custodial DeFi activities. So if you're just writing code for a node, not holding customer funds, you're not suddenly a money transmitter. Innovation breathes a sigh of relief.
Exactly. On the regulatory front, the CFTC gets exclusive authority over spot markets for digital commodities. They'll register exchanges, brokers, dealers, custodians. Think customer asset segregation, anti-fraud, risk management. They even get provisional registration, giving existing platforms like Coinbase up to 2 years to comply without everything grinding to a halt.
Meanwhile, the SEC still lords over securities and stablecoin anti-fraud. But dual-registered entities can exist, which is a nice compromise. The bill also says if a digital commodity meets maturity criteria, its sales are exempt from securities laws. No more retroactive headaches, hopefully.
It also mandates fair trading, prevents manipulation, and ensures customer assets are segregated even in bankruptcy. Imagine that, not having your funds disappear into the ether if a platform goes belly up. Plus, they're pushing financial literacy materials, because nothing says mature market like basic education.
They're also setting up FinHub and Lab CFTC to engage with emerging tech, which sounds like where all the cool kids hang out. And they'll be doing joint studies on DeFi, NFTs, blockchain and payments, illicit uses, and foreign adversaries. Basically, everything under the sun.
And circling back to the anti-CBDC bit, it specifically says the Fed can't offer products or accounts directly to individuals or issue CBDCs. It's a huge legislative middle finger to the idea of a centralized digital dollar. This all goes live 270 days after enactment, with fees funding the CFTC and SEC. Plus, it preempts conflicting state laws for digital commodities.
It's like a grand federal takeover, but in a good way, for clarity. This builds on the Genius Act from July 2025, which already regulated payment stablecoins, demanding full reserves and no yields. So this Clarity Act isn't just a solo act, it's part of a whole legislative symphony.
Now, the upsides for crypto under this act are pretty clear. Regulatory certainty could end the SEC's regulation by enforcement, which has been stifling innovation and sending projects offshore. This could bring talent and capital back to the US, making it a global crypto hub.
BlackRock and JP Morgan certainly aren't pausing their crypto plans, and Vanguard's allowing crypto ETFs. This means institutional and mainstream adoption could explode. Qualified custodians means safer custody, attracting ETFs, pensions, and treasuries. And with stablecoins already regulated by the Genius Act, we could see $300 billion in supply powering efficient payments. The tokenization of real-world assets could move quadrillions instantly.
Imagine your house as an NFT traded instantly. Wild stuff. Plus, those DeFi exemptions could truly foster peer-to-peer finance without KYC mandates and truly decentralized setups. We could see things like universal basic income from credit card fees or AI-integrated finance. And with investor protections like asset segregation, it could actually democratize access, potentially narrowing wealth gaps.
The market outlook is bullish too, with predictions of Bitcoin above $90,000 and Solana hitting $350 to $600 by 2027. This also aligns the US with the EU's MiCA framework, but crucially, it keeps the US competitive while cracking down on illicit finance without giving up civil liberties to a CBDC. It's a win-win, right?
Well, not everyone sees it that way, Katie. There's a darker side. Some argue this bill is a Trojan horse for banks. By allowing them to custody assets without extra capital and banning passive stablecoin yields, it funnels profits to issuers like Circle, essentially handing control to Wall Street.
Ah, the 60-40 portfolio fear. Crypto becoming just another asset class, not a disruptive force. And with $18 million in lobbying in 2025, it's hard to ignore the big money interests. They're gentrifying crypto.
Then there's the privacy angle. KYC requirements for DeFi front ends could essentially kill permissionless finance. Imagine needing facial scans or your SSN just to swap tokens. Yield bans could extend to staking and lending, limiting retail rewards and pushing everything to centralized DAOs. You'd have clean, regulated crypto versus dark, non-compliant crypto, with privacy coins like Monero getting delisted.
So much for decentralization, and the compliance burdens themselves are a nightmare. Registration and disclosures raise costs, favoring big players and potentially driving small projects offshore, which is exactly what we were trying to avoid. Plus, the definition of decentralized is still a bit fuzzy, leaving room for selective enforcement.
And don't forget the political risks. Delays from midterms, presidential conflicts, or government shutdowns could push passage to 2027, creating more market volatility. Some argue a bad bill is worse than no bill at all, especially if it means banks' propaganda successfully waters it down in their favor.
And the wealth inequality aspect, if institutions are hogging all the yield, that's just more wealth transfer. Plus, the rise in government data requests, which Coinbase has seen, hints at increased surveillance. Stablecoins could become de facto CBDC proxies, giving governments more visibility than ever.
It's a lot to unpack, and what YouTube videos often miss? The bill mandates deep dives into foreign adversaries like China and illicit use, which could lead to targeted sanctions, but also highlight our own vulnerabilities. And that subtle anti-CBDC integration? It's a huge win for privacy that often gets overlooked.
They also miss the mature blockchain transition pathway, how a token can graduate from a security to a commodity. That could enable compliant ICOs. And the financial literacy focus. We need more of that to reduce scams, not just hype videos. Finally, crossover registration for SEC-registered firms to handle commodities is a practical boon for efficiency, often missed amidst the bank takeover narratives.
So the Clarity Act, as detailed in this comprehensive overview, is this pivotal, incredibly complex piece of legislation. It promises a regulated maturity for crypto, balancing growth with safeguards, but at a potential cost to its original rebellious, decentralized ethos. It's a tightrope walk for sure. Keep an eye on that January 15th markup. If you found this deep dive into the CLR Act illuminating, consider telling a friend